there, folks. Welcome back to Florida Food Forest. Today I thought I'd give a little bit of a tour before we start getting cold weather. I see in a couple days we're going to be down in the 40s. So I was going to kind of show you what I had growing through the summer and how well things did or didn't do as I head into winter. Things are looking great right now, but when we start getting those low temperatures, you know, last year I hit 27 degrees here in Webster, Florida, in this Florida Food Forest. Some things got hurt, a lot of things didn't. There's a couple things I have in pots that I'm going to bring inside so they don't have to suffer through those temperatures. It's a bit of a work sometimes when you're zone pushing. You have to do so much through the summer, in the winter, to protect these things. I think I have everything pretty good. So if we hit 27 degrees again, I should be fine, Lord willing, of course. But I've done a lot of stuff through the summertime to try to protect them. Some things are more frost sensitive than others, so I like to have the hardier ones around the frost sensitive ones in this Florida Food Forest. So while we're here, let's get started. I'll show you around the Florida Food Forest, at least some of the stuff that's growing around here. It would take forever to cover the whole property. It'd be a long video. Like I said before, you know, 5-minute video takes me a few hours to upload, and I don't want to sit here and upload video all day long. I'd rather just share what's going on here. Once I have Starlink up and operational, that would be a lot easier. I'll be able to give more updates. I'll be able to give more updates what's going on around here. So here, let's check out the Florida Food Forest tour. Right off the bat, we got some praying hands bananas. And last year, see that little pup there? There was one that was maybe just a couple of inches taller that I started out with, and now they are big. These were just little tiny guys I got from Rivers of Provisions. There's one of them, also my favorite peppers there, purple Scotch bonnet. That guy's a couple years old. I did a hard trim back, and it did not enjoy it. Around these, I do have some pigeon peas. And I had some squash growing up. There's some loofah that went crazy, so I cut that loofah at the base and just let it hang on the tree there. Yeah, it looks a little bit sloppy, but I don't really care about that. I'd rather just have something that performs in the Florida Food Forest. And these have only been in the ground for just a couple months, and they have skyrocketed. I mean, these are pretty tall. It looks like they're getting ready to flower too. See if I can get that to pull up. Probably not. These are getting ready to flower, which is kind of cool. Have more pigeon peas. Like the thousands I have already aren't enough. And here's that Noni #1 papaya. That thing is skyrocketing. I had bags around them to protect from wasps stinging them and leaving a little larva in there, but those got way bigger than they did last year. Last year they only got about this size. So this Noni #1 papaya is definitely rock and rolling here in the Florida Food Forest. Got longevity spinach for days. This stuff is awesome for a ground cover, and it'll cover up everything else too. So you got to work on keeping it controlled. I can't eat it fast enough, but I do enjoy eating it. I make it with omelets or something like that. Breakfast burritos, it works out pretty good. But it covers the ground really well, which is what I want, just to hold that space for a while. I like these papayas here. These are just temporary in these areas. You know, they only do good for just a couple years, and then after that, you know, start out for something different. Pickering Mango, definitely a slow grower. I lost my lemon zest. There was a bug that got in there, and okay, Big Red. I lost my lemon zest. There was a bug that got in there and bored in the trunk of it, and that killed that plant, which really stinks because I was working to turn it into a big bush. But this Pickering Mango seems to do pretty good so far. Here's one of the rose apples I just have in a pot. It's definitely putting its grow on big time. I also have one in the ground next to it. I'll have to definitely protect these in the winter. I'll have to definitely protect these here in the winter time. And I'm working on another ground cover. Here's a pepino melon flowering. Those are so sharp, aren't they? Look at that. Pepino melons in the Florida Food Forest. Yeah, baby. I love those fruits. They're so delicious. You gotta wait until they actually ripen on the plant. The stuff we get at the grocery stores, if you can find them, you have to pick them early, and they're not that enjoyable. They taste more like a cucumber. Or if you let them ripen on the plant, it has kind of like a imitation watermelon plus cucumber. I don't know, it's really refreshing little fruit to try out. Definitely a cool plant to have in the Florida Food Forest. Here last summer I was trimming up my Pakistan mulberry and I just wedged a bunch of cuttings in the ground. This is going to get moved, but that's pretty cool that they started. I'm going to move these up front, in the very front of the property. I'm going to keep them trimmed up there, but they're going to be in the very, very front. I got some trees that are not native up there that got to go, so they got replaced by another not native plant. Here's my Spondeus papaya. I probably butchered that name. It's a hog plum. But what I've been doing is just going through and taking those tips off of everything here. And it's turned out to be pretty big bush. Every one I've ever seen is some leggy guy, but it's getting pretty big here. It did get hurt last year when we had 27 degrees. So I definitely have to work on keeping this short so I can protect it in that winter time here in the Florida food forest. But I mean, it is rocking and rolling. I'm amazed at how fast this grows. Like I said, every one I've ever seen is big, long, lanky thing. They're cool looking trees if you let them do that. I can't really do that here, like I said, with 27 degrees. We got hit by, and I don't want to do that to this poor plant. I want it to be successful. Hopefully next spring when it goes into flower, I can get some more fruits off of it. Just a few feet away from that Spondeus papaya, I have some yam here. I just have it on a post. It's been in the ground for a couple years now, so that big root that's down there, it's definitely doing good. But I have to go through and clean this up because it sends out little runners everywhere. I don't want this stuff taking over the Florida food forest. But all I did was run it on some wire and then attach it to my fence here. So it's growing crazy. I think it looks better than having just a brown fence. And I have another one just right down here. That's all I did. I try to keep it so it doesn't have all kinds of little runners running everywhere, taking over the Florida food forest. Not cool. I have the sea salad trees here. These get big and then fall over and then grow some more. This guy is pretty big. I have a bunch of these. These will get hurt in cold weather, so do try to protect them. See, it had fallen over. I even busted one of the roots out of it and fallen over and kept on growing. I imagine where all these branches are touching the ground, it's probably putting in more roots, which is fine. This stuff is good enough. I don't like to have a whole bunch of it out of hand because it's kind of slimy, like an okra, the same family, but it gets kind of slimy, and I don't really enjoy that all that much. The chickens seem to enjoy it, so I feed it to the chickens quite often. I haven't tried the ducks yet. I'll have to try that, see if they like it. If they do, well, then I'll have to grow a whole bunch more. The Suriname tree hasn't grown a whole lot this year, but I did try to thin it out. And when it was just a big massive bush down here and I couldn't hardly see the fruit, so I thinned it up a little bit, tried to give it more of a tree shape. So when these start popping in the food forest here, I'll be able to see them and enjoy them. I do like them. One of those fruits though, you do have to wait until it's absolutely ripe. Otherwise, if you take a bite out of it, your head will shrink like, what was it, Beetlejuice. Your head will shrink like Beetlejuice in the end of that movie there. Super cheesy movie, but whatever. You understand. Right next to that, I have some chaya cutting I just put in the ground just to take up space. That's what a lot of this stuff is. It's just taking up space until I find something else to put there. I was going to use it as a chop and drop, but it really doesn't grow quite fast enough. But this Mexican sunflower here, I do use that as a chop and drop. And I've been just filling in spaces with that. Hopefully it takes over and helps protect a bunch of stuff. I mean, I have a lot. It's probably going to end up being a nightmare someday. I probably going to wish I hadn't planted so much, but I did. And it works great as a chop and drop. Definitely works great as a chop and drop. Right next to that, I have my achacharu. This guy is putting on some decent growth. I'm definitely going to have to protect this in the wintertime. But this is the area that flooded out, and it did really well. It was standing water here. The neighbors had put in a bunch of concrete and raised up their line there, and so how that water had to come over here, and it did. And then I just put a bunch of French drainage in to pull that water out of here. And speaking of space savers in the Florida food forest here, I had just jammed a bunch of katuk cuttings in the soil. I didn't use any preparation, didn't use any rooting hormone. Katuk is pretty strong stuff. You stick it in the ground far enough, it'll root. You probably could just throw it in the ground and it'll root. But I have a whole bunch of this stuff planted. Again, it's just being used to cover an area so I don't have to come over here with line trimmer or the scythe or buy a lawnmower. I don't have a lawnmower, just a scythe and a line trimmer. I do have a white sapote here. And look at that. Look at that. That's amazing. Come on, little white sapote, you can do it. And it's not very tall at all. I'm pretty excited about this one. I was at a nursery and I asked him, hey, I'm looking for another white sapote. The guy was like, oh, we don't have any more white sapotes. And I said, hey, what's that right there? Well, I don't know. And that's a white sapote, bro. He went and got his boss, and yeah, sure enough, it's a white sapote. And it came home with me. I have another one up front of the property. It's not doing quite as well. This one back here where it did flood out seemed to be doing just fine. But up here in this spot here, it did flood out, and this seemed to be doing just fine with that standing water. That water was way up here. That water was way up here. It was deep back here. Ankle deep. Some spots are bigger than ankle deep, so I put that French drainage in, pull that water out of here. But this seems to take that like a champ. I go back through and cut this stuff off. Not real big on that. I like the tree to be strong, grow its own strong roots rather than something else supporting it. But it had been leaning over so far. Well, I'll just keep that on there. So I'm going to take that off eventually and let that get its own strength. Here's more of that sea salad tree. See, it had just gotten so big it falls over. It just falls right over. This area was pretty mushy though. More longevity spinach. But I had papaya fall over, which bummed me out. It fell over, but it looks like it's coming back. This is a known you #1. So I think I'm gonna build some support and just let it do its thing. Or at least put some support underneath it so it can handle the fruits. I'd rather not just discard this because I do really enjoy these papayas. I don't really enjoy the red lady papaya you pick up at the grocery store. I'm not big on that at all. But the ones you look at, check out alohaseed.com. Some really good stuff there. These ones are actually really delicious. Nice and soothing flavor to them. Lots and lots of crop. But this one is obviously not doing too well here. This did get flooded out here. And I'm surprised it survived because it was standing water. Here's some more yam I just have growing up on some wire. Try to cover up that fence line a little bit. You gotta go through and pull it back on the wire and get it to run back over to that fence. But its time is pretty much done for the year. Can't expect much more out of it. I'm gonna have to go through and harvest a bunch. I've got a Florida peach from Tractor Supply. Help fill in this area a little bit. This did get flooded out too, and this peach was not real fond of that. It did get flooded out here. Right next to that though, I do have more pigeon peas. Pigeon peas are definitely a plus to have in your Florida food forest, as well as a peach. Here is a, what is it? A Florida King. Here I have a plum. It doesn't seem the happiest, but there's a little plum. Oh, there's a little lizard there too. A little plum growing. Again, this area right here got flooded out. Hopefully that is fixed now. I won't have any more issues. Following right behind that is more Kentuck, just filling in spaces. That's all. Check out that fruit. I'm ready to pop any day now. And one of my Simpson stoppers here. I was hoping this would flower and fruit this year, but I haven't noticed anything. Right next to that, I got a frangipani. Just trying to fill in spaces. More plants, less grass. Of course, my geese might like me to have more grass, but we'll see how that all works out. Small flower pawpaw. Again, this area flooded out, and that did not enjoy it. I believe I lost one because of that flooded out. I have 5. Well, I had 5. There's 4 left. Definitely a cool little plant to have in your Florida food forest. Here's an apple banana that had fruited, or they were starting to ripen, so I just cut the whole branch down, whole stem, whatever down, and now I got a bunch of other guys jumping out. But another one right next to it is skyrocketing. Those are really delicious. They were small, but they were pretty delicious. One of the better flavored bananas I've had. I don't know if you can have a Florida food forest without having some kind of banana in it. I think I would like those truly tiny bananas. I know those are really even way smaller, but I think I'd like to add those here. Here I have a Texas black persimmon in the Florida food forest. This guy is getting way tall. I might have to train that to stay a little bit smaller so I can get the fruits. I don't want to get on ladders to get fruit. I'll pass. I know me, I'll probably fall out of it. And the grumachambas are rocking and rolling. These are just directly seated in the ground. I said in a previous video, I think I probably planted them too close to each other, but they seem to be doing fine for right now. I'm gonna have to shepherd them so they don't grow into each other. I can't control the roots, but I can kind of control the branches. A lot of these guys will like some airflow in between them. And of course, another pigeon pea here. A couple of bromeliads just to fill in some spaces. Some cherries back there. Suriname cherries. Just popped in there. In an earlier video, I was showing how to get spiral ginger cloned and cut it up. So I did that here. And it's slowly taking off. Here's that original plant I started with. And a whole bunch more sea salad. Followed right in with a bunch of Mexican sunflower that I just use as a chop and drop. Really just trying to fill this area in here. Just to hold this space for other fruit trees when I get those. Slowly but surely. I'm just trying to fill up one part of the yard first and then migrate to another part. More of that spiral ginger and some more chaya. So with geese, ducks, chickens, guinea fowl, and emus. Hopefully the guinea fowl will pop out. It's been 27 days since I put them in the incubator. They should be popping out. The eggs are getting dark, but I did plant a bunch of moringa so everybody can have a bunch more. I've just been taking cuttings and pushing them in the ground. Cuttings aren't as strong with wind. You know, if you're just planting a seed, that's going to be a lot stronger against fighting against wind and stuff like that. It seems anyways, but I needed something right away. Of course, seeds grow pretty quick, but so do cuttings. Finger sops, definitely a cool little plant to have in the Florida food forest. An oddball not everybody knows about or grows, but these are really cool ancient fruit. These are just directly seeded. There's a mound here that doesn't show up very well on camera, but there's a mound there full of compost and all kinds of other goodies. My chokeberries did a whole lot of nothing this year. I mean, I don't think they really enjoy it down here, but I tried to zone push them. You know, I had to push them south. They grow probably better up north farther. Right here, they don't seem to be doing all that well. I don't know if I'm going to keep them or not, but I'll let them do their thing until that day comes, or doesn't come. There's a little scarlet jabo I have in the ground. I probably should have waited till it was bigger to put it in the ground, but oh well, it's going to have a strong root system. It'll just take me longer to get fruit. If you want to get fruit from them quicker anyways. Quick is a relative term when you're talking about these guys. If you want to get fruit quicker, keep them in a pot. But I just put mine in the ground. Over here I have another jabo, just put in the ground. It's maybe about a foot tall. Again, maybe I should have waited to put them in the ground, but some people are wise and some people are otherwise. A lot of times I'm otherwise. Now here's a knowing you number one. It got burnt last year in the frost. It was not covered up. It got burnt and started right from there and going back up. I have not got any fruits off this year. I don't know why. It's flowering. It smells absolutely delightful. Kind of like fruity pebbles, but no fruits yet. And some more papayas that I just use as a space saver in this area. Yeah, they're probably planted like way too close to each other because these do get kind of monstrous, but we'll see what happens. It's just a space saver. They're not going to be here forever, but I think it's kind of cool. They got a couple fruits off of that, and this is its first year in the ground. Started seeds early summer. They jumped out, but this ground here is pretty fertile. With me going out here peeing, there's dog poo out here, there's a bunch of duck bedding out here, chicken poo, you name it, it's out here. They don't seem to get burnt or anything by all those rich fertilizers like the chicken poop. chicken poop doesn't faze these guys at all. They do actually really well. One of the few plants I know of that you can put just hot chicken manure right on it. It does absolutely fine. Here's a blackberry jam fruit. I do have it tightly packed in with some other plants here because this will get burnt by a frost. I'm not sure what's up with those leaves right there. I don't know, maybe sunburnt because these guys here were taller, but I wanted that to have sun and get ready for winter. I'll have to protect this for sure, but definitely a cool plant. See, what I find on these is they fruit on the very tips. So I've been just tipping it, forcing it to get bushy. The idea is more branch tips, more fruits. That's what I want. To that I do have another pigeon pea. There's lots of pigeon peas out here. And here's a mayhaw. Doing pretty well. It's got its little guard dogs. I'm not messing with you guys, so please don't mess with me. I don't kill these guys, I just let them do their own thing. These are kind of guard dogs against caterpillars. They will destroy caterpillars quickly too. So I just let them do their own thing. And why not just hang out in this pawpaw here, or mayhaw. I do have some pawpaws though, let's check that out. Now the pawpaws are fixing to go out for the year, but they put on a lot of growth this year. They're looking really sharp, but they're on their way out. That means winter's coming. They are definitely growing. See, I had went through and I was taking the tops off of them. I went through and took the tops off of them, hoping I get more branches farther down, but it didn't work that well. It just forces another branch right out the very top there. Maybe I have to let them get taller before I do that. So I got all kinds of little seedlings I pushed in the ground here. More pawpaws. You never have enough pawpaws, right? Really cool plant, interesting flavor, really interesting flavor. Indian gooseberry back here. These two, I also take the tips of them, pinch it off, and it forces more branches to push out. And these will get hurt in the frost, so I got to protect these. And just for a temporary, I have some barbed wire cactus down there. Definitely a cool little plant to have in your Florida food forest. They get pretty interesting fruits in there. Dragon fruits taste better, but those are pretty interesting. I like them. There's Suriname cherry back here. This stuff is probably planted like way too close, but I'll have to shepherd them to grow in ways they don't want to. More pawpaw back here. I find that the soil requirements seem to be pretty close to each other, so I didn't mind putting them this close together. That might be a bit close because I had a seed float away and just root itself right really close to that. So we'll see how that goes out. Maybe I'll have to do some removal later on, hopefully not. Might take the air layer. I don't know if you're gonna air layer a pawpaw. If you know, let me know. So if I have to move it, I just do an air layer and move it to a different spot. There's few things that smell just as wonderful as these. These are wonderful. Sweet almonds. They smell so great. Brachiofenix Alfredo. They got the little tiny golf ball size coconuts on them. And that's obviously very small and very slow growing. This year, all it did was push out this new leaf there. That's all it did so far this year. So it's pretty slow growing. I got about a decade or so before I get any fruit off of that. Another chaya tree, where I get all my cuttings from. Started out with just one little tiny cutting and got a bunch from this. This is what I mean by that moringa. If you just stick a stick in the ground, it's not very strong against wind, and that's what this was just a cutting pushed in the ground, and it got blown over by wind. But you see, it's like, no, I'm just gonna grow this way now, and this way. Cool little plant. To grow a bunch more. All this stuff will be disappearing this year. I mean, it looks sharp and all, but it's taking up space I need for other things. Cassava plants, I left them in the ground for too long, but right before we get hit by a frost, I'm gonna go through and take a whole bunch of cuttings and restart. I'm gonna take these elderberries. I probably won't be growing these anymore. I'm probably just gonna pull those out, throw them in the pile, and call it good, because those are gonna want to spread everywhere. They stick little roots through the ground and start spreading everywhere. I don't want that. They're a cool plant, but I really don't use them all that often. I want something that I can use. So this area is gonna get taken over by cassava. See, there's a couple big ones through here. But I do have lots of cassava. It was in the ground for too long, so those roots become fibrous, and I'm not into that at all. But I am going to take a whole bunch of cuttings, and the whole mushy part of the property back here is going to be taken over. Another one of those elderberries. This guy's going to go away this year. Like I said, I want something I can use, not something that just grows. It does flower quite a bit, and I see birds enjoying it. And here's that pit I did early summer. It seems to be doing pretty good. All kinds of stuff in here. I got bananas, I got some root crops. These bananas, I only like to keep about 6 leaves on the tree itself. But they're a pretty cool little addition to the Florida food forest, as well as my root crops here. The sugar cane didn't seem to respond too well to get moved back here. And that's alright. My black turmeric, that's going out for the year. This is going to get moved around a couple different spots to see what I find does best. But cool addition to the Florida food forest for sure. These are really cool looking plants when they're not looking like this anyways. See, these are going out, and like my other turmeric, I let all these leaves yellow and fall down before I harvest. Cattleya guava, that's all done flowering for the year. It's trying to grow some more tips. I have to pinch those back, so don't do that. I want more branches. Another moringa next to this French drain I put in. Just another cutting, so the chances are that might blow over, which is fine. I had a pear that got hit by blight this year, so I thought I cut it back far enough, and then it just kept going and going and going, so I cut it all the way down past the graft point, and it started to rock and roll back out. I have absolutely no clue what I'm going to get out of that, but maybe just a cooking pear. I don't know. We'll see. I'll let it do its thing. If it's bad, well, then it moves out of the Florida food forest. Here's another one of my peaches. I had so many fruits last year, the little branches were snapping on it. So I'm going to thin those up a little bit. I mean, they were perfect sized fruits. They were only, oh, sorry, they were only maybe about that big. Not very big at all. Perfect for just snacking on. And this katuk here, they got big and started to fall over. I just let it do its thing. Sweet almond, man, that smells so wonderful here. I wish I could share that with you. A lot of times I just use this as a chop and drop in the Florida food forest. It's really easy to propagate. Just take a cutting, remove the flowers and leaves, push it into some moist soil. Bam, you have another one. Another avocado here. This seems to be doing really well. It's pretty leggy, but I was trying to fight that, so I took off that center branch right there if it shows up. It didn't do much. It just got even leggier. So, I don't know. It might be just one of those leggy varieties. There's that Pakistan mulberry. I had all those cuttings that I just pushed to the ground. These are what these came from. I got a couple right here. And these are, the cuttings are just going to go up in the very front of the property. We'll remove a couple trees up there, like I said earlier, and put these up there. And the ducky ducks got to move outside. I'm keeping a small pen area for now. Then I'll open up bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. These are eating and pooping machines. I have to herd them like animals. I have that piece of wood right there. So I'll get them to run that way. They'll run around over here. And I'll get them to here, and then they'll go inside. If that board wasn't there, they'd just run over here. But if I can get them right to here, they'll run right inside there. I just put that together like a week ago. My big mess of yams I have here. It is a mess of yams. I'm going to change the way they do next year. So I have, see if I can get it to show up. I had thrown a piece of string. Of course, the string got caught up there, but I had to have it running up to a tree to try to shade out the ducks here a little bit. Well, it didn't work out real well. The string got caught up there, but I said, well, whatever. I'll just tie the yam to it then. But I'll have to watch that and make sure it doesn't spread. So I imagine a couple times a year I'll have to come follow the actual stem back down and cut it so it dies, it doesn't fruit and spread everywhere. So I'm just worried about the root crop not I just want the root crop, not all this other stuff spreading around everywhere. It will spread easily, so if you grow this, be careful. Egg fruit I just had planted, directly seeded in the ground. I got a couple more seeds. I'm going to do the same exact thing with. I'm just going to direct seed them in the ground, have them take over an area. Hopefully those seeds will pop out anyways. That'd be really nice. But we're fixing to hit 40, I think, tonight, and then we're going to be at upper 30s Tuesday morning or Tuesday night. I don't know. It's cold though. I ain't into it. My fruit trees ain't into it. Oh, I don't enjoy this cold stuff. Just had some antimoyas. I got some fruit from a guy in California a couple years ago, and I just put the seeds in the ground. I wish I would have saved a whole bunch more because I honestly didn't expect anything to pop up. Last year in this Florida food forest, we hit 27 degrees. These were not covered because I really didn't expect anything. They survived uncovered. So I was like, whoa, man, that's cool. I got to grow more of those. So I wish I would have had more of those seeds. I would have definitely had a bunch more growing. Just have 6 of them here. They seem to be doing pretty good. Probably be a lot happier if I got rid of all the weeds and stuff around here. But yeah, I'm a busy guy. Busy or lazy? Maybe the combination of both. Let's go back and check out the Java almonds, see what they did this year. Java almonds. Got some in here. They'd probably be happier too if I got rid of some of the weeds and stuff through here. These were uncovered last year when we hit 27 degrees. They did not enjoy it at all. But they seem to be doing pretty good so far. Really cool looking trees. I'll be really happy if I can get them to grow. But I had tried to take the top off of them last summer. I took the top off of it thinking, yeah, I can get more branches, get them to get thick. Didn't work. It just pushed out another stem out the very top. So it doesn't work. At least at this stage in their life, that doesn't work real well. Maybe I have to let it get taller. But now that I know they can survive 27 degrees, I want to give them a little bit more protection this year to help them out, you know. They didn't ask to be here. I wanted them here. These are the ones I didn't sell in Marketplace. People are like, oh, you're growing cassava. No, it's not cassava. Oh, it looks like marijuana, bro. It's not marijuana. It's Java almonds. Here's the chickens doing their things. There's another one somewhere. Pineapple getting ready to pop. I better put a cage around that pretty quick. Won't be much longer. See, on social media not too long ago, people were talking about if you take the crown of the papaya and you split it 4 ways, you can get 4 papayas. Yes, but you can also split it, that crown, this way too and get even more. Do that, let it sit on your counter for a day, let it dry a little bit, then put it in your soil and you'll end up with a bunch of pineapples. And that's how these came to be. Oddly enough, only one is fruiting right now, but that's fine. At least it's something, right? There's that sun opener. They don't look the happiest, but they don't look the saddest. I don't know. These will have to come in. They don't really like cold weather, so I'm going to take these in the wintertime. The Siberian motherwort. She seems to be doing pretty good. Hopefully not rooting out the bottom. I did have it in little trays here. Oh yeah, I see little roots starting to poke out. I'm going to put some Thai dwarf mulberry cuttings in there and see what happens. Hopefully something good, because these guys here, man, they put on so many fruits. It's insane how many fruits these mulberries put on them. Pond apple seems to be doing well. I'll take this in if we get 27 degrees or something like that. And these will be going inside. Next to that, I got some sugar apples just erupting. I had been going through and taking the tips off of those because it just wanted to turn into a monster, like a tall guy. So I wanted to stay shorter, so I just been taking those tips and removing those. Well, MB, I got the pop out. I'll probably take that in the winter time too. I have one in the ground out here somewhere. It did well last year. There's more fruit trees down here. What do they call it? Dazablasta or something like that. Suriname cherry. So I have them taken over here, and then I have my red Queen Papaya. Ooh! Oh, it's getting soft. That's ready. I'll have to cut that bad boy open and enjoy. Those are so delicious. I already ate one. That was pretty delicious. Right, getting some more papayas up there. I don't know how well it's gonna do way up there in the wintertime here. I can't protect it that well. See, some of them I just went through and I wrapped around the whole trunk of it. This one I didn't. I just put the frost cloth over top and it got burnt all the way down here last winter. That's not cool. So this year I'm gonna wrap that up. I get hit by frost again. Try to protect it the best I can, you know. Then I have a southern pecan out here. I have an Elliott farther back in the corner. Southern pecan here. I'm gonna train that to grow sideways and up over the chicken run here. But it seems to be doing pretty good. Here's that other MB I have here in the Florida food forest. It seems to be doing pretty good. Getting a little branchy. I had taken the tips off of that. Try to force it to get branchier, more branches anyways. So I thought it'd be a cool addition to the Florida food forest, and so far it's a cool looking little plant. Hopefully I get some fruits off of it some year here. And here's my biggest Indian gooseberry. This guy would easily be 12 to 14 foot tall. Cool looking plant, man. Nice little addition to the Florida food forest here. This is one of those areas I was talking about where I like to keep things really close to each other. Some less frost sensitive things, like this plum right here, finger lime. Keep that around stuff that is more sensitive. I was hoping that finger lime would be a little bit taller now. It's maybe 4 foot tall. I was hoping to be a little bit bigger. One of my Spanish limes here. This was uncovered last year in a different area that was super duper dry in the chicken run. So I moved it over here and it was shocked for a while, but thankfully it's bounced back. Cool little addition to the Florida food forest. I have 5 of those growing out here. And we'll see. And I got a mess of stuff growing in through here. I got some cocoa plum, big black mamba, super duper duper hot pepper. Man, that'll melt your face off. But I love peppers in my Florida food forest here. See if I have any more that are ripe. It's looks like no. Well, there's one that I missed. Chickens will like that. It's a super hot, so chickens got worms in them, which I doubt. I hear that feeding them super hot will blow those worms right out of them. Got some area and guava up here. This gets burnt by frost, so I have to keep that covered up. I have a whole bunch of plants here. I got some seeds from a dude that's on Florida Food Forbes, Jeremy Oakland, if I can remember right. I probably butchered his last name. But Jeremy hooked me up with some seeds. They seem to be doing pretty well. Hummingbirds absolutely love this. And then here's that flower bed I put in, or fruit bed I put in not too long ago. But I noticed I'm getting some fruits here on the jujube. All kinds of little fruits through there. Green sapote here seems to be doing fairly well. I would like it to do a lot better than what it is, but we had caterpillars come in last year and just destroy this thing. I mean, took everything off of it. So next spring, I'm going crazy with the BT and spraying everything. The ground was literally looked like shag carpet walking around here. So I'm going to cover everything in BT. Forget that. That's crazy how many there were. I got a black sapote here. It has not fruited. It's flowered a whole bunch of times, so it knows how to flower, but no fruits yet. Here's another sugar apple. Looks like it's fixing to go out for the wintertime. I love these little things in the Florida food forest. The fruit is so delicious. A little seedy for me, but it's pretty delicious. You just gotta work with it a little bit. Here's another pawpaw. It kept wanting to fall over, so I kept it staked there. Hopefully it comes back next year strong. A little tea plant, sea grape, some bananas. A bull that hasn't done anything this year, but I didn't offer it any food or anything, and it's out here competition with all these guys too. It's still doing fine, just not putting out fruit like I thought it would. Here's one of my sherbet berries. Cool little addition in the Florida food forest. It flowered last year but did nothing. So hopefully next year is the year that it does something. But cool little plant anyways. Another Brachiofenix Alfredo. They got the small coconuts on them again. I probably butchered that name, but they also call it the Highlands Coconut. That coconut that's there, that's not from that. That's one I got from the death rack at Lowe's a couple years ago, and it was like 50 cents. And I'll give it a try. Yeah, well, it died. Another one of those sherbet berries. Again, this one flowered last year, but nothing. So hopefully next year it will rock and roll. And on the fence line here, maybe 1.5 feet in, I have a bunch of loquats. I'm gonna graft different varieties on them, but I also plan to graft them to each other. And I got that all the way down the fence line. Almost all the way down anyways. And we come right back to where I had all those mulberries. Beautyberry is on its way out. These things are all through the property. Oh gosh, there's a lot of them. Got a long end here. I'll have to protect that from frost. But there's only a couple days where we really have to worry about frost, so I do plan to keep this fairly shorter, or figure out a way that I can protect it against frost when we get hit by them. We got the frog fruit down there, camu down there, which wasn't really happy. I saw where one guy had them sitting in some water, so I thought, oh, I can do the same. So I had water just down here, so that hole was just poking out just a little bit. There was water down there, and the tree darn near died. So I pulled it out of there real quick, set it over here in the shade, and it seems to be doing fine now. Well, better anyways. I don't know about fine, but it is better. And of course the gin berries are popping. There's one right here. I will eat that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Another seed. And then I have a macadamia. It flowered this year, but no fruits. Last year it actually fruited. So hopefully this year I can get some fruits, or 2022 I can get some fruits off of it. Definitely a cool plant to have in the Florida food forest. You might have to stand out by it with a sword and knight's gear to protect against squirrels, but definitely a cool thing to have in your Florida food forest. And here's the mother grumachamba. This thing always seems to be thirsty. Always seems to be thirsty, and I don't know why. Lemon drop mangosteen air layer seems to be doing really well. No fruits on it, of course, but I'll have to protect that probably in the wintertime too. Here's another jabo I just pushed in the ground. It probably should have waited until it was in a pot, just like all the other ones here, but it's doing really well. There's a little island right here of soil that's built up, and then everything else right around it. It's like 4 foot deep in compost. I'm sinking in actually right now, but it seems to be doing really well. The jabo, nothing popping on it yet. See little bumps on there, and it had been flaking off a bunch of branch or bark, so hopefully it's a happy plant. It seems to be anyways. Well, I appreciate you joining me today as I give a brief tour of my Florida food forest here. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to hear your feedback. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Tickle your little butt. You with the butt.